So then I rolled the dice. I got a 20, obviously, because that's what I do.
Well, you don't have to confirm crits anymore, so that's good.
No, exactly. So then the next time around, I went to roll to attack.
Yeah.
Another 20, because that's just how we roll. Hey, everybody.
Oh, hey.
Sorry. Yes. I didn't even see you there. Thanks for coming in. Welcome, as always, to Paizo Friday. We have a Jason Bulmahn in the studio today. We have a new studio today. We've got stuff. It's still being built, so this is kind of, in works still, and we expect some more to come in, but
like
this was the big stuff.
ridiculously comfortable. Like
really
compared to those chairs that we had in here earlier, these are, I could sleep in here. I could nap.
I probably will.
Let's not tell the other staff about it.
No, that door will remain locked.
Good thing they can't find out about this.
As Jason is talking, if you look over and I'm snoozing quietly, it's because of the couches. It's just the couches, and also it's been a good week. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We are here today to have Jason tell us all about creating a character for the Pathfinder playtest. Some new information in here.
A little bit.
For once, the Twitch stream gets some scoop. We get some new info that hasn't been out yet, so I'm really excited about that. We've got some screenshots that we'll be showing you, so it's not just us talking. We're going to be showing you all of this stuff as we go, so we're really excited about this one. We will be planning to do some Q&A at the end of the show if there's time. We expect that there will be, so that's the idea. So if you have questions, especially if you have a really, really good one, hang on to it, and we'll try to get to that later. When are you laughing at?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, now they're going to ask me nothing but resonance questions. You've queued me up for that. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hey, did you guys see the blog?
Good times.
So anyway, without further ado, I've got a handy-dandy script here because it's going to be a lot of talking, folks, so buckle in. But it's good talking. It's not just Jason flapping his gums. He's talking about creating characters for the Pathfinder playtest. So, without further ado, Jason Bulmahn.
All right. So, first off, we're at just over a month. We're at about 34 days from the point of this stream to the release of the Pathfinder playtest rulebook.
Right.
And as we get closer and closer, it's time to start pulling back more and more of the curtains, right? The days of hiding and being coy with information, those days are coming to an end. You're all going to have the books in your hands soon enough. So at this point in time, we figured, wouldn't it be great if we just walked everybody through the process of making their first character? You're going to need to do this soon. The playtest starts right after GenCon. So, you'll have to, get those pencils sharpened and get ready to make your first characters. So we wanted to make kind of a reference video, a video that we could refer back to and really kind of show you how to make a character. So what I've done is I've prepared a number of slides for us to walk through the process. So as I talk, we'll actually show you a character sheet being filled in. And I think this might actually be the first time we've showed off the character sheet. We haven't showed off the character sheet at all. Yeah,
so I was going to ask you that before we got started, because I was putting all of these slides in, and that was the first thing I thought of was, have we put this out before? Is that
No.
So don't tell anybody about this, folks. This is secret
don't
stuff.
Don't tell anybody.
All 10 of you, or however many of you in there. Don't say anything. This is quiet stuff.
Just for you guys.
Come on, let's tell you a secret.
Yeah. So why don't we get started here? We'll start walking through the process because I'd much rather show you than just tell you. So just like with the previous edition of Pathfinder, generating a character starts with the simple process of determining what kind of character you want to build. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. I personally prefer to kind of pick an ancestry and a class, right? Oh, am I going to play a dwarf wizard? Am I going to play a human cleric? Today, I think what we'll build is an elf barbarian. I, in all honesty, picked that a few days ago, but I really just kind of picked it at random. We've talked about the barbarian in a recent blog. We've talked about elves, but I wanted to kind of show you how you might build one of these characters. So today we're going to be building a first level elven barbarian. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab yourself a character sheet. So the character sheet is, you'll notice it's horizontal. It's not vertical. We went with a horizontal layout this time. We had room to kind of fill things out better with a horizontal layout. It allowed us to organize the information a little better. And you'll find all three character sheets in the back of your rulebook. Now, I said we're going to build an elven barbarian. We should probably know a little bit more about him. So if you know the world of Golarion, I think we're going to say that he comes from Kyanan, and that he's an exile from there. He's wandering the world trying to find his way. So, as we mentioned before, kind of some of the first things you do during character generation is you pick your A, B, C. So step 2 of the process, after you determine your general character concept, is to pick your ancestry. That's A, your ancestry. Now, we've already decided this. We're going to play an elf. So if we're playing an elf, the first thing we're going to do is go to that character sheet right there, and you're looking at it right now, and we're going to want to fill in some of the basics of being an elf. So it starts off by putting elf down. You put down your size, the languages you know. You're also going to fill in your speed and your starting hit points, because your ancestry gives you some hit points. You'll be adding to these later once you've picked your class and you know your con, but right now we're just going to put those down. And you'll notice as we fill out this sheet, the new information is going to appear in blue, and then after it's old, it'll turn into just ordinary black text. Now, down below in your ability scores, you get a couple boosts from your ancestry. So in this case, as an elf, you get a bonus to your dex and your int. So I put little pluses there for right now. I don't need to know what the scores are just yet. I just need to know that my ancestry is giving me a boost to those two. It's also giving me a flaw, and that flaw is to Constitution. So I'm going to put a little minus next to Constitution. Now, that's not all an ancestry gives me. It also allows me to select one ancestry feat. Now, ancestry feats come in a wide variety. It allows you to kind of customize what kind of elf you want to be. So if we flip over to the back side of the character sheet, you can see that we've picked an elf feat here. We've picked Ancestral Longevity. Now, this feat, I think we may have talked about in one of the blogs. It's really cool. Every day when you prepare for the day, you can choose one skill that you're trained in to represent the fact that you're an elf and you're old and you've done all this before, and you kind of remember bits and pieces as you go along.
You're like Danny Glover.
That's right. Yeah. You can kind of pick one skill each day to be like, I remember how to do that, and for the day, you can treat yourself as trained in that skill.
Okay. Are there? So if you're a barbarian elf?
Yeah.
Are there other ancestry feats that you could have taken, or is that it?
No, there's like each ancestry has like 10 feats in the playtest rulebook, and you can choose from a wide variety of them. Not all of them are appropriate for every character type, but you can make most of them work. For this barbarian, I actually considered a number of ancestry feats. You could have taken one called Nimble. Nimble increases your speed by 5 feet. Being a barbarian and being fast is really quite useful, being able to kind of charge across the battlefield. Mm-hmm. Elves already start with a speed of 30, which is 5 feet faster than humans. With Nimble, it jumps all the way up to 35, which means you can kind of outpace almost everybody else in the group when you need to move around the battlefield. So
if
really
you don't
useful.
Like your group.
That's right. If you need to get up into that fight immediately, that would let you do it.
You're the one moody friend walking faster than everybody else. Just getting out of there.
You're the one that the cleric inevitably gets angry at because you've gotten too far away from the healing magic. But you also could have taken something like Otherworldly Influence or something, or Otherworldly Magic that lets you pick up a cantrip and cast it, cast a spell. So there's different ways you can express your elfiness, and as you level up in characters, you can pick more of these. So you can kind of go back to the ones that you missed and grab them later.
Okay.
So once you've picked your ancestry, next up, it's time to select a background. Now, I mentioned before that this elf is a nomad. We're saying he's from Kyanan, but he's decided to leave there and he's decided to wander around. So there's a background called Nomad that fits rather well. Now, each background gives you a couple things. One thing that it gives you is it gives you a choice of 2 boosts to go in your ability scores. But I'm going to save all the choices for later. We did that with your ancestry as well. Your ancestry gave you 1, but in this case, I'm going to save all the choices for later. That way we can make them all at once. So the other things it gives you is it gives you a skill, which you can see on the front of the character sheet there. In this case, it gives you a lore skill. For the Nomad ancestry, you can choose a lore in any one type of terrain that you might have grown up in. Growing up in Kyanan, I picked forest. That was kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
So I marked trained on that. I didn't do any of the math yet because I don't know what my ability scores are, but I did write it down. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab the background skill feat that it gives me. And in this case, if we turn over to the back side of the character sheet, I filled that in. You'll notice there's a box there marked skill feats and one even labeled for background. The great thing I love about this character sheet is that we actually set aside spaces for all of the feats as you get them, and it works for every class.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
everybody gets a background skill feat, so you always know where that lives on the back of your character sheet. It also makes it really handy later on if you want to retrain, because you're able to retrain it out for something you would have gotten at that point in time, which allows you to, keep your character in balance. So in this case, we took assurance, the Nomad background gave us assurance with survival,
Okay.
Which is a pretty handy feat to have.
And what does assurance do?
So assurance, what it does is it allows you to take 10, basically. And you don't add any of your bonuses to it, you just get 10. But that's something that not everyone can do. Everybody else has to roll. They have to rely on the luck of the die. But you can just look at a simple task and go, nope, I got it. I'll just take 10.
It's assured that you're going
It's
to...
assured. And as a matter of fact, as you become more and more skilled, the number you get goes up.
Okay.
So when you're trained, it's at 10. I believe once you become an expert, it jumps to 15. Once you're a master, it becomes 20. So you can start doing harder and harder tasks without even needing to make a check.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it goes up as you do. So that's really handy. So I think that's mostly what you need to do to to mark down your background. So once you're done with that, you're going to move to step 4 of character creation, which is choosing a class. Now for this one, the part here is actually really simple. We're going to come back to the full selection of your class later, but the first thing you're going to want to do is just write down your class, in this case, Barbarian. Now you're going to want to note one thing before you move on to the next step, and that's the key ability of your class, because you get a boost in it, so you might as well mark that down. Barbarians, no surprise to anybody, get strength as their key ability score. So we went and marked a boost down in strength. You'll see a little plus sign down there. But now that we've chosen our A, B, C, we've picked our ancestry, our background, and our class, it's time for us to go and do our ability scores.
Okay.
So these are actually really straightforward. The new system for these is one that you are building your score kind of like the point buy method before, but instead you're just assigning boosts, and you start out with a base score of 10, and each boost is going to give you a bonus, and if you have a flaw, which you're typically going to get from your ancestry, that will reduce one of your scores by 2. So this is done in a process, and every time you get a group of boosts, you get to apply them, and you can't apply more than one boost to an ability score at a time. So when your ancestry gives you a free boost to choose, you can put it anywhere because you only get 1. Although if you're human, you get 2. In this case, we're an elf, so we're only going to get 1. So let's move on to that step. The first thing you're going to want to do is assign that free boost that comes from your ancestry. And being a barbarian, it just made sense to put that in strength. I couldn't see putting it anywhere else. I only get 1 for my ancestry because my ancestry comes with 2 other free boosts and a flaw, so I only get 1. From there, we're going to move on to the free boosts we get from our background. Now, the background here is going to give us a boost, a pair of boosts, but one of them must go in either Constitution or Wisdom, because that's what the Nomad gets. He's either hardier for traveling the wastes, or he's wiser for learning how to survive out in the wild. In this case, with a barbarian, it made sense to put that in Constitution.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's somebody's been saying in the chat right now, a barbarian with minus con isn't fun.
No,
It's very true.
You're absolutely right. That's kind of a dangerous place to be. So we need to shore that up as best we can. So putting 1 into con brings us back up to 10 now, but we'll deal with that in a bit. We get 1 other free boost, but we can't put it in con, unfortunately. So being a barbarian, I'm thinking strength is the right choice. So that's where you'll see that pop up. Now next, we get 4 free boosts. We can put these wherever we want, but remember, we can't double up any spot. So once again, yeah, I'm putting another 1 in con. We desperately need another raise in con because we're playing an elf barbarian. It's a little cross type.
Yes.
But we can make this work. Obviously, strength is a good choice. If I'm not going to have a great con, I better put a little bit into dex. Elves already get a bonus to dex, but giving myself a little bit more is going to give me a little bit better AC, which means those hit points aren't as important because I'm not getting hit as often.
Right, right.
And then lastly, I think I'm going to put that last one into charisma. Because really, I can't put it in any of the physical ones, and I can put it in int, wisdom, or charisma, kind of my choice.
So then, when you're putting those together, I understand the con and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Why charisma?
Well, so actually, to be honest, when I was dreaming up this character, I was like, okay, which way do I want to go with him?
Yeah.
I can make him, he's a bit wiser because he's, a wanderer and a nomad. But I was like, you know what, looking into the future of this character, maybe I want to make him more of a leader, a spokesperson for the group. Maybe he evolves into that role, but I don't want him to start there.
Right.
So I want to give him some raw potential for it, but I don't want to fully fill it out. So I gave him a bonus to charisma. It's also going to help him with a few of his skills. It might help him later on down the road with some magic items and stuff. But right now, I think that's the direction I want to go.
Okay.
I could have easily just put it in wisdom. That's kind of the simple answer. Put it in wisdom because it gives you a bonus to will saves, which is really important. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I just thought, you know what? I kind of want the barbarian that's a bit more of a talker, a bit more... He's a bit more involved. He doesn't just sit in the background and grunt. He actually gets involved in discussions and conversations.
You're breaking the mold.
Yeah. Well, I'm already building an elf barbarian, so
it's a barbarian of the people.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
I like it. I like it.
So okay, I've put all my boosts and my flaws in because I get one more, and that's from class. But we filled that one in earlier when we picked our class. So we've got all of our boosts and flaws. So it's time to convert those into scores. The way you do that is you start with a 10. For every boost, you go up by 2. For a flaw, you go down by 2.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've gone and we've applied all the boosts, and those have converted over to scores. So we had 4 boosts in strength. That gave us an 18. We had 2 boosts in dex. That gave us a 14. We had 2 boosts in charisma, but we also had a flaw. So that's not going to boost us all the way to 14. It's only going to boost us to 12. Int is going to jump up to 12. Wisdom will stay 10, and charisma will jump up to 12. At the same time, we're also going to go ahead and fill in our ability score modifiers. And you can find those on table 1-4 in the book, but they're just like they were in the previous version of the game. So 12 and 13 give you a +1, 14, 15 give you a +2, etc. All the way up to 18 giving you the +4. So that's how you fill out your ability scores. So now that that's done, we can really get into the meat of filling out some of the scores for your character. This goes really quick, to be honest.
As if it hasn't gone quick already, Jason. We'll let him take a drink.
Yeah, all that talking.
I know, right? We knew it was going to be this. Everybody just buckle in. It's good stuff, though. It's really, really good information. And like I was saying earlier when I was putting all of the slides together, how easy it looked like it all flowed really nice. It just kind of goes together.
It's great because once you really get into the groove of it, you can build a character. I can build first level characters in like 15 minutes. It goes really fast compared to first edition, which gave you a lot of choice and option. We still have the same amount of choice and option. There's just less tiny little moving pieces to deal with.
Right.
So the next up, now that you have your ability scores, we're going to go back to your class and we're going to fill out a lot of the scores you're going to find there. So we're going to start out by figuring out your hit points. Now that we know your con modifier and we've chosen our class, we can figure out our total hit points. So Barbarian's going to give you a bonus of 12 on top of that Elven bonus of 6. And our Constitution bonus is going to give us another 1. So that's going to bring our total hit points up to 19. Beyond that, we're going to start filling in some of our proficiency levels. Now your class is going to tell you what a lot of these are. And basically, they come in 4 different levels. Untrained is technically a level, but beyond that, there's trained, expert, master, and legendary. Your class is going to give you a combination of untrained, trained, and expert in a number of things. So, for example, for a barbarian, you are an expert in perception. Barbarians are good at keeping an eye out for trouble and danger. You're also an expert at fortitude saves, but you're only trained at reflex saves. And you're an expert at will saves. So as you fill out your sheet, you're just going to put X's in the boxes that correspond to your proficiency level in all the various parts of your character. And your class is going to determine a lot of these, but it's going to give you some choices as well. As you get deeper in, you're going to be able to pick your skills. So in this case, Barbarian starts off with 3 skill choices plus your int modifier, so 4. So I put 1 of those in acrobatics, 1 in athletics, and then I put 1 in stealth and 1 in survival. Because I kind of wanted the character to be able to sneak around a bit. Nothing's more entertaining in my book than when a barbarian jumps out of the bush and starts chopping you to pieces. So being an elf, I thought that'd be kind of fun. And I got a pretty decent dex for a barbarian, so that should work out great. You also are going to go ahead and fill in your weapon proficiencies, you know, what rank you are at simple weapons, what rank you are at martial weapons. And then... Sorry, just a moment.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Talking,
right, yeah,
talking,
no.
talking.
Yeah. All right. So after that, you're going to go in and fill out your signature skills. This is something your class gives you. These are important to know because later on in your career, your signature skills determine how high you can take your proficiency in a skill. If it's not a signature skill for your class, you're kind of gate-locked at expert. But if it's a signature skill, you can take it all the way up to master or legend.
Okay.
Now, finally, your class is going to give you some class features and possibly a class feat. In this case, on the front side of the character sheet, you'll notice that we wrote down Rage. So Rage is appearing on the sheet. That's an action that you can take, so I want to write it down below so that I always remember that it's there. And I also included some of the basics of the numbers that you get when you rage. So for this Elven Barbarian, he's going to rage for 3 rounds. He's going to get 2 bonus hit points. He's going to get bonus 2 to damage, and he's going to get minus 1 to AC. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I just put down some notes to remind me. I also put down some of the traits next to it so that it's easy for me to reference. Now on the back of the sheet, I'm also going to record my totem. This is a choice that barbarians get at first level. They have a bunch of different ones they can choose from. And for the elf barbarian, I decided to go with the spirit totem. There's some world lore implications behind that, but basically I wanted this barbarian to have some experience dealing with the spirit world. Elves kind of come from a place that's demon haunted and stuff, so that made a little bit of sense. The spirit totem is also really good against dealing with undead, which, considering some upcoming plot lines, that might be a good choice.
Are there other types of totems?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
so
I could have taken like an animal totem, which would have given me like claws or a bite attack whenever I'm raging. I could have taken a dragon totem, which allows some of my bonus damage from my attacks to be elemental instead.
Oh, okay. All right.
Amiri, our iconic, has the giant totem, which lets her wield oversized weapons and fight giants a little better. So there's a bunch of different ways you can take your barbarian. And if, to be honest, if none of those really appeal to you all that much, you can also just take the rage totem, which kind of doesn't give you any bonuses or specialties. It allows you to take an extra barbarian feat instead.
Okay.
It says the totem thing really kind of isn't for me. I just want to go the kind of straightforward barbarian route.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I also get 1 barbarian feat. And for this elf barbarian, I took a feat that many of you are probably familiar with. We've talked about it a lot. Sudden Charge. That's a feat that barbarians can take. You've seen it a lot on Valeros. The people who have seen him in various playtests that we've done, Valeros has Sudden Charge. It is a fighter feat. It's a feat barbarians can take as well. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to have that. There were other feats as well that I could choose from. But Sudden Charge is really very useful. So I made sure to mark that, and in later slides you'll also see that appears on the front of the sheet as well. I added it there because it's something I'm not going to want to forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got we've built up. We've got the totems in there.
Yeah.
We've got some of the basics coming in for skill points.
Yeah. I've picked
And
what
you've
skills
got
I want to
the
be good at.
Ancestry.
Yeah.
You've got your class.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Where do we move on from there?
Well, so the next thing we probably want to do is go back to the front of the sheet and fill out our skill modifiers. This is a relatively straightforward process. We're going to take any skill that we put training into, and we're going to mark our proficiency level. Now, if you're trained in a skill, that proficiency level is just equal to your level. So in this case, just a 1. So I went in and put a 1 in all of the proficiency boxes. I also went in and filled in the ability score modifiers and then totaled those up for us. So it's a relatively straightforward process. You can do this for all of your skills. The skills that don't have trained would be untrained. For those, you would take your level -2. So in this case, you'd put a -1 in all those boxes. Then you'd fill out your ability score modifiers and sum it all up. You can do that for all of your skills. To keep life simple here, I just did it for the ones that we have training in.
Okay.
The other ones are easy enough to figure out. So that's pretty much it for that step, though. And then you get to go on to one of my favorite parts of character creation.
Please, tell us, Jason. We're dying.
Buying gear.
Oh, I love gear.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes, that's fair. That's fair.
So I've kind of made most of the choices for my character, except for what am I wearing? What am I wielding? What am I using? So I started looking around, and I didn't want to wear medium armor. Barbarians are proficient in medium armor, but being an elf, I didn't want to lose that speed. If I go to medium armor, I'm going to take a speed penalty. I didn't want to do that. I also am playing a character with pretty good dex, so I didn't want to go into an armor that was too heavy or bulky that might slow me down.
Right.
So I decided to just go with studded leather armor. It's a lighter armor for a barbarian that might put me in some danger, but I'm willing to risk it and see how it goes. I can always upgrade later if it's not working for me. So studded leather is going to give me some pretty decent protection against attacks. It's not going to help me much against touch attacks, but that's okay. And then it was time for me to pick a weapon.
Okay.
And you think barbarian and you think, oh, great axe, great sword. And I was like, no. I want this guy to wield a giant hammer. So I picked the maul.
Why not? Oh.
Yeah, he's wielding a maul. He's got a giant two-handed maul. Barbarians aren't proficient in shields anyway, so I don't need that extra hand. I have a giant maul.
And lots of charisma.
Yeah, that's right. So he talks to you nicely, and if negotiations break down, he has option 2, which is a giant maul. You can't go wrong with that.
You're fine. You're covered.
That's the kind of negotiation barbarians are good at.
You're
anyway.
elf barbarian.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I also wanted to make sure I had a ranged weapon of some sort, because if you don't have a ranged weapon, you're in deep, deep trouble.
Right.
So I just grabbed a short bow. Ultimately, I'd love to upgrade this to a composite short bow so I can start using some of my strength on damage, but I can't afford one yet. Being a first level character, you only get 150 silver pieces. That's not a lot. And you'll notice I said silver, not gold. We changed that part of the economy. So now a starting character has 150 silver pieces. Everything in the equipment chapter is priced in silver pieces to make it easy for you to buy.
Okay.
You don't have to convert right then and there. Things later in the magic item chapter that are worth way more than silver pieces,
Right.
those are listed in gold. But with a 10-to-1 conversion rate, it's pretty easy to figure out.
Right.
So aside from my weapons and my armor, I also bought, a variety of adventuring gear, some food, some rope, flint and tinder, a lantern, things like that my barbarian might need to survive in the wild. Nothing too complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're geared up.
We have gear.
And we have everything. We're done. Everything's done.
We've made every decision we need to make, but there's one step left, really.
Okay.
The last thing we need to do is we need to finish out our character. We need to kind of finish out all of the details and all of the final pieces of the character sheet. So let's start out with some of our personal details. I needed to pick an alignment. I decided chaotic good.
Yeah.
I want to be a good guy, but I'm also a barbarian and I'm an elf, so chaotic seems the way to go.
I like it.
I needed to pick a deity. That's pretty important for all of our characters. I didn't want to go with the traditional elven deity, but so I went with Desna for this character.
Yeah, the screen's so far away.
Yeah, I think I went with Desna.
I can't read the fine
print. A couple
print.
days ago.
I'm sure the chat will let us know.
Yeah,
they can read
certainly
it
will.
better than we can.
Yeah, that's fair. So beyond that, I wrote down my level as 1, my starting XP, which is 0. I mean, unless your GM lets you start with XP, then you got a really nice GM, and they should probably talk to me because
not
that's
you.
not fair. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I also filled out my class DC. I don't have any abilities that matter for this right now, but later on I might get some barbarian abilities, and trust me, there are a few amazing ones that rely on your class DC. And in this case, it's your main class ability score plus your level plus 10. So I filled out that number just so that I have it. Those are some of the basic details. Next up, it's time to finalize out some of my defenses and some of my skill choices. So let's do the math on those. That's really easy. The perception. Once again, just like with skills before, I'm just filling out my proficiency number, adding together all of the bonuses. I don't have any magic item or gear that's giving me bonuses on any of this, especially not saving throws or perception. But when it comes to armor, I do have an armor bonus.
Okay, so then let's see. We're looking at. I'm trying to make out what we're looking at because, again, as Jim has said in the chat, we might be able to use a bigger monitor. But this is the first time we've actually had this much AV going on in one show.
Yeah.
And so I've got chat, and then I've got the window of what's going on right now on the stream, so we can kind of see that. But we were going to ditch the chat while we were doing this talk, so we could see all of the slides. But then I was like, well, no, if something's really bad with the stream, I rely on the chat to let me know that we sound terrible or we can't see anything. So we're trying to do both onto one monitor, and it's not the best solution, but it is a solution.
It's working.
It's a solution.
It's working.
So, yeah, it's just trying to see everything at once is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. I was in the middle of filling out some of those ability scores. So starting out with perception, then moving on to your saving throws. When we get down to AC, that's where I've got some bonuses coming in. Because I'm wearing studded leather, that's going to give me a bonus to my armor class, but it's not going to add to my touch AC. But see, real easy to figure those out. The reason I included skills here, I've already figured those out in an earlier step, but I decided to wear armor that has a check penalty, and that applies to a couple skills. So I went back, put that in, and readjusted the scores. Just took a second. All right. Now, last, but certainly not least, I want to take those weapons I bought, and I want to add those to the front of my sheet. So the last thing I did is I went and put them all in. I put the short bow in, and I added up all my bonuses to attack, to damage. I added the special abilities. The maul is really cool. You can use it to shove people around. Short bow doesn't really have too much in the way of special abilities, but it is deadly. So if you hit somebody with a crit, the damage, it deals a D10 extra damage. So you definitely don't want to be critted by a short bow. So I filled out my strikes, and believe it or not, that's kind of it. There isn't really much more. I've kind of summed up all my character choices. I've filled out all my statistics. If we look, I can show you the back of the character sheet, the final version. That's the back. There's not much to it. You'll notice there's plenty of space for stuff in the future, and you're going to fill out a lot of those boxes as you level up. I did figure out my resonance and my encumbrance and things like that. Those are minor little details. They're easy to figure out. And then last but not least, we can look at the front of the sheet. There's one piece I skipped, and that was my name. I needed a name.
Yes.
So I named this character Talamir. Talamir was the name of the first ever role-playing game character I ever made. So this was my first official Pathfinder playtest character. So
Really?
There he is, Talamir the Elf Barbarian. So there you go. So that's kind of the whole process. The great part about the new version of Pathfinder, the Pathfinder playtest, is that once you understand that process, it's kind of the same process for each character. I have different choices to make. I'm picking things from different lists. And those lists really flavor what my character is and what my character can do. But ultimately, it's the same process. You still go through the exact same steps. You still make some of the same choices. Your class might have one or two extra things that you need to pick. But that's kind of it. That's all there is to it. That's how you make your Pathfinder playtest character.
And that's it.
That's
it's
it.
as
You're done.
simple as that.
Yep.
And since we explained it so well, I'm sure there's no question from the chat.
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be. Why would there be?
We're all fine. Yeah. Okay, so that was awesome. I liked that. So let's do this. If you have any questions from the character creation that we just went through, that would be great. This would be the good time to do it. I see that there's some stuff that's going in. Why does expert give +2 proficiency? Does it give double level or level +1?
It gives level +1 is how.
Yeah.
The question was, how does expert proficiency work? The way the proficiencies work is this. Untrained is your level -2. Trained is your level. Expert is your level +1. Master is your level +2. Legend is your level +3. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a huge amount of difference between the two, but we lock certain abilities behind those levels as well. So while the numbers might be close to the same, you can do cooler, more awesome things the more trained you are.
Right. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Let's see. Putting this over here. La, da, 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 da. There was some conversation about putting ability stats in one column and mental in the other, or listing the stats for saves on one column. What's the design reason for the current layout of abilities?
Oh, funny enough, I think we realized that was a bit of a confusion point a little bit after it went to layout. Like all parts of this, the character sheet included, these are just the playtests. So if things like that aren't working for you, we'll make sure to note it, and then going forward, we'll do something about it. I got to be honest, that bugged me a little too. So I'm so used to seeing strength, dex, con right on top of each other, and seeing it go strength, dex, con, back and forth, threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Why 4 spaces for first level class feats?
So, why were there 4 spaces? Oh, for first level class feats. Yeah, sure. That's also the space for your class features. So some classes give you features. For example, we had the totem on the barbarian. That's not a feat. That's a class feature. So I had to put it somewhere, and putting it with your feat seemed like the good choice at first level. Later on, throughout the levels, we give you a couple extra spaces here and there to include some of that extra information, because we found that we ran out of space pretty quickly if we didn't give it to you like that.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to go up a little bit. Let's see. If we're changing the currency standard to silver, why list majority of items PCs will buy in gold?
Well, so the majority of the items the PCs will buy at first level is certainly listed in silver. What we tried to do with the economy is we really tried to move away from a system that ended up where we ended up with hundreds of thousands of gold pieces on each character. We found that happens. I hate having so much money. We found that most players in our groups and throughout our experience with the game, that amount of money started to become kind of hard for people to even grasp. It's like when you have 150,000 gold pieces sitting in a pile, you don't even know how big that is. So we wanted to move away from that and also give us some breathing room on how expensive things like castles and stuff cost later on down the road. So we moved the base economy to silver. We also wanted silver to mean something for a little while, right? For the first couple levels of play, when you find silver pieces, you actually pick them up and keep them. You don't just immediately ignore them. In First Edition Pathfinder, copper pieces, I mean, I don't know why anyone would pick those up at all. I mean, they had no value at all. At first level, I can see first level characters scraping up those copper pieces and silver pieces because they do matter. Like, saving up to get that first suit of plate mail is important, and considering it no longer costs, 1,500 gold pieces, it's now quite a bit less expensive in comparison. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're playing with. We're hoping people dig it. I kind of like the concept of characters actually caring about a currency other than gold for a little while. And then eventually you get to the point where it's nothing but platinum, making it rain, platinum. Yeah.
We can call them Dan Servo pieces?
Yeah, sure. We'll call them Dan Servo pieces.
Oh, thanks, Jason.
Yeah,
what an awesome idea. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, where did we get that idea?
Right here, right now. Dan Servo pieces.
Yeah.
Let's see. The marked boxes next to acrobatics, athletics, and intimidation. Those are signature skills. So King of Rock, who we were talking about earlier, who always ends his posts with a clever pun with Vrock.
Yeah,
Vrock.
if that's the same person, yeah, you've been on our boards for years signing things off as Vrock something, Vrock and roll,
Vrock on,
yeah, things like that, which much appreciated as someone who loves Vrocks. But anyway, I digress. The question was, why did we mark the signature skills next to acrobatics, athletics, and intimidate? Those are the signature skills given to you by the barbarian class. You get those at first level, and those are your way of marking which skills you can truly excel at. Over your character's career, you will get extra proficiencies to throw at skills. They cannot go above expert unless they are a signature skill for your class. There are ways quite a number of them, that you can add signature skills to your class. So if you want a character that's really, really good at stealth, but you're not a class that gets that as a signature skill, there are ways for you to add that to your list as a signature skill through a wide variety of means. So it all depends on how you want to build your character.
All right. So let's see. I'm unless that we missed some, I think we're kind of catching up on stuff. People are now talking about money and how much GP they have and that sort of thing.
I see somebody asking that there were 3 character sheets in the back of the book.
Oh, yeah.
There's a front sheet and back sheet. Those are the 2 that we saw mostly. In addition to that, there's a spell sheet for all of the characters who are spellcasters.
I wouldn't know anything about
the
that.
original character sheet in the back of the Pathfinder rulebook had a list, had an area for spells that was so incredibly small.
Yeah.
You had to get a .001 pen and write in microprint to get all your spells on there. This time around, we're like, I'm not doing that. I'm including an entire extra sheet for spells.
You could have Eric Mona come and write your spells in.
Oh, yeah.
If you've seen Eric Mona's writing, it is tiny little,
it's so
precise, very precise, very readable, but very small.
Yeah, you have to remember, all of us,
Did he design?
many of us old timers here at Paizo started with magazine editing, which required us to write in the margins between text.
That's right.
There was a whole lot of that, so you learned to write really small and compact. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't want anyone to have to do that. The cramp on your hand is just way too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Rogue Life for sure. Rogue Life.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this has been good. Jason, do you have anything that you want to cover that may be outside of character creation? Something that you're excited about? Maybe the holiday coming up next week for those of us.
Yeah, we've got a couple days off coming up in the next week. We've got some really exciting blogs scheduled to drop. I can tell you that I just approved the Sorcerer blog.
All right.
That's not coming out Monday. You're not going to see it next week at all, but I've approved it, and now it's going through process so it can go and get posted up. So that's a bit of a far-ranging spoiler from this.
It's a spoiler. It's working its way through the fun factory
That's
right now.
right. Yeah, no. All of our blogs have to go through a number of steps of kind of people reading through them, making sure that there's no typos.
Right.
And then it needs to get put together and made ready for the site and everything. So those sorts of things are making their way through. We've got exciting stuff coming. I think next week is actually the Ranger. Don't tell anybody. Shh.
I love when we get these spoilers on my channel.
Ranger. Yeah, I think Ranger is next week. So I'm really excited about that. There's some great stuff in the Ranger.
Okay. All right. Do you want to talk about what hero points are?
Hero points, yeah, sure. So hero points are a system that we added based on kind of the common home game rule that most people have, right? So the thought is, you're a hero. Here, have a couple points that allow you to bend the wheels of fate in your favor. Allow you to kind of cheat the luck of the die. And the way it works is when you at the start of each session, you get 1 hero point because you're a hero, and here's your hero point. But if you help contribute to the session in a meaningful way, if you bring snacks, if you help the GM keep track of the map, if you do things that are useful to the group, kind of as a community, you know, that says, hey, we're all in this together, let's all pitch in and help make this great, you get another one.
Okay.
Now you can have up to 3.
Okay.
But that third one, that one you got to earn. That one, you have to do something awesome during the game.
Like in-game.
In-game,
yeah.
You have to be cool. You have to do something amazing, great. You have to put it all on the line, throw it all out there to get that 3rd hero point.
Right.
Now, once you got them, what can you do with them? That's, because let's be honest, that's what the characters really want to know. What can I do with them?
What can I do with them?
So,
I got them.
So 1, the most basic version, 1, allows you to kind of cheat death. It allows you to stabilize while you're dying.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, just 1 of them allows you to try and make sure that your character doesn't bite the big one.
Okay.
Pretty useful. 2 allows you to re-roll a die roll.
Okay.
So if you help out the group, at the most basic level, you can spend 2 of them at some point in time during the session and re-roll the die. But we decided to be a little nice to you. If you re-roll and you still fail, you get 1 back.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Oh. Boy, okay. So that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little feature. We found that nothing sucks more than being like, I'm going to be heroic.
Well,
3.
And I'm not.
All right, so I'm done, and someone please call my Uber. Send me home.
So we've got some folks in the chat that are jumping ahead of my joke. I asked about hero points merely for one reason.
Yeah.
So I could mention bottle caps.
Oh, yeah, all right, yeah.
And then Todd went ahead and said, do those stack with bottle caps? Do hero points stack with bottle caps?
No, I think it's the same system.
Same system.
Yeah, I think it's the same system.
We didn't license it from Troy, so we couldn't put it in there. So
yeah, no, I know. That's up to him. Yeah,
Jim's right. Yeah.
He's going to have to figure that out. And then, obviously, if you have all 3,
okay,
you can spend all 3 of them to take 1 extra action on your turn.
Oh, wait, all 3 at once. Like,
All 3 at once.
All 3 of them.
You can take 4 actions on a turn.
That's significant.
That allows you to do some things that in the game we don't normally want you to do.
Right.
Oh, you want to cast 2 action spells? Okay, you had the 3 hero points.
It's got to be expensive.
Be awesome.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
It's a lot of fun.
Diving Rhino, we actually are talking about that. It's something that we want to do is glass cannon Paizo bottle caps. So there was talk of it at PaizoCon, but we all got too busy and we didn't get time to make that happen. So next time we will do that. What else do we need to cover, buddy?
Well, what else is coming up? I mean, obviously, we're all getting ramped up and ready for the release. I mean, I think that's kind of, for us internally, we've moved into prep mode for that. Everything we're doing now is getting ready for that. A lot of people asked us early in the playtest, they're like, why don't you just release the rules now? And we're like, because we're not actually even ready for the playtest yet.
It would be considered a playtest for the playtest if we released them now.
And I don't have time to set up the playtest for the playtest of the playtest, so we can't do it.
We'll workshop it.
It's fine. So what we ended up having to do was spend all of our effort just getting the book to the printer, and now once it went to the printer, the trade-off there was all of the things to make the playtest ready to go are happening now. So we're in the middle of writing surveys and creating art orders for the final book. And we're in kind of deep in the reeds of getting everything ready so that when everybody has the book in their hands, they'll be ready to play and give us feedback, and we'll be ready to receive it.
Right.
That's the big thing right now, is that we're trying to clear our deck so that when the feedback does start rolling in, once all those surveys go live, once all the message boards go live, we're ready to talk about it. We're ready to, and we have the time to go through all that information and to kind of give all of you our undivided attention, at least as much as we can. We still got a lot of stuff to do, but we're really trying to clear the deck here. So right now it's all about making surveys and putting together the necessary resources to make sure this launch goes off kind of without a hitch. It's really exciting. Every day that we get closer, I kind of get more and more pumped.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then because you're combining that with also GenCon.
Yeah.
So it'll be GenCon.
Yeah.
Everybody, pretty much the entire company of Paizo will be there.
Yeah.
And then here we are putting out the playtest to the wide audience for the first time, saying, "Here, put this in your game brain."
Every year, GenCon to me is something special. It's something amazing, and this is my 31st consecutive GenCon.
But Jason, you're only 30 years old.
That is not true.
Okay.
But this is my 31st consecutive GenCon, and I couldn't be happier to be releasing another version of Pathfinder at GenCon. It is my favorite show in the world. The people who run it are great. The people who attend are great. The booth experience is fantastic. And the best part about it is we will get that swarming sea of people. The day we open those doors is not a day for claustrophobic people, because we get swarmed. It's a mass that comes, and they all want their books, and it's amazing. It's truly something to behold.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was lucky enough to be around last year for the Starfinder swampening that happened, and it was something. And I was actually on GenCon's stream a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about that, and I'm looking forward to it again. As scary as it was, I'm looking forward to it again. It'll be a lot of fun.
It should be great. Yeah. So everything's in ramp up to that right now, and we're putting out more information, putting out more leaks. We're working with Ian World on an article right now, and
They've been really supportive. Like
They have.
Ian World has been putting out a lot of information. Pretty much if you don't find something that you want to know about Pathfinder Playtest on our blogs on Paizo.com, check out Ian World.
There's a good chance they've codified it.
They've been doing a lot of stuff.
And Morris and the folks over there are fantastic. They're great, and they really are great in supporting us and helping make all this go. So, we're really excited, and we're working with them to maybe dump a whole bunch of character details on you guys through them.
Nice.
I don't want to give too many details.
That
the
would
article's
be
still
awesome.
being written, but we're pretty excited about
Nice.
it. Yeah.
And the other thing too is that we have a lot of people on board to support the playtest, which is nice because I was just in a conversation with Ben and the folks from Sirenscape.
Oh yeah.
They're talking about doing something, I think,
Awesome.
and they do amazing soundscapes anyway. And then just trying to get all of these different things on board so that whoever wants to playtest, they've got the tools that they need to actually playtest. And the support from the community, from the industry, has been really good about saying, hey, you need people to play. What can we do to help you get that? And it's just been wonderful. So it's been nice.
Folks coming out of the woodworks to kind of show their support and get excited about the game.
Yeah, and it's Sirenscape.
Yes,
is how it's pronounced. So so we will see you at GenCon. Oh, by the way, coming up the 20th of this month, not next Friday, but the Friday after, Paizo Friday will feature Kristen from GenCon. So
awesome.
she will be in, and we'll be talking to her, and we'll be talking all things GenCon. We're pretty excited about
that's
that.
about 3 weeks from now, right?
Yeah.
The 20th of July?
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
we're
right.
about
Oh,
to hit the
6th,
fourth.
13th, and then 20th. Yeah. So make sure you put that on your calendars right now,
that'll be
because
fun.
it'll be a fun chat
Awesome.
about
That's
GenCon.
right before the show.
I thought she'd be gone. I was like, hey, don't suppose you're still going to be around.
On the precipice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be fresh.
Awesome.
So. Anyway, anything else you got to say, Jason?
No, I think that about covers it. I hope
Awesome.
everybody enjoyed walking through the character creation process, and we kind of can't wait for you to do it and kind of explore it for yourself and build the characters you guys want to build and show us kind of what you've got, what you can make out of it. That's kind of one of the most exciting things that I'm looking forward to, especially when we start getting those surveys back about what did people build, what did they actually want to create using these rules, kind of what's working, what isn't working. Where do we go from here? I can't wait. I know a lot of designers approach these sorts of things with some trepidation, right? There's, oh my God, what are people going to think? I'm really excited for people to dig into the rules and tell me what they think. And they're going to find some things they don't like, and they're going to find some things that they love. I want to hear all that. I want to know how this game works for people. I really do. I think that makes for a better game, and that's kind of why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to.
Wait, really quick, I wanted to say, so Origins just happened.
Yeah, that was a few weeks back.
And we got ourselves an award.
Yeah.
And this is the cool thing about this award. This is why we're so happy about this. Especially, it's nice to get an award. Thank you very much. But this was the fan voted. This was voted on by the fans to say we think that Starfinder is the best RPG of the year.
Yeah.
And so it came from you guys. Thank you so much. If you've played it and you liked it, I'm glad. If you haven't yet played it and want to play it really bad, you should do so. It's a blast. And something like this kind of makes all the hard work that everybody, and really everybody did around Paizo.
I can't
Makes
tell
it
you
worth
how
it.
much that means to the Starfinder team. Those guys poured their heart and soul into that game.
They did.
And
They really did.
The awards like that really mean the world to us, right?
I agree.
They really do let us know that what we're doing matters to folks. And I know the Starfinder team greatly appreciates it. They were super pumped.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. Great. So, yes, game streams are coming. We're planning that. We've actually got a whole...
we have space now.
We're getting space. We've got more furniture. We've got the room. Game streams are coming. We've also got some other things that we're working on to bring more programming to the Twitch channel. Really quick, just so you know, if you haven't seen yet, we are a partner now, so we can do subscriptions if you like. Emotes are on the way, so there's really hold off, don't bother subscribing yet. But when the emotes get here and take a look at what we're offering up for that, then I think you're going to really dig it because we've got some really good ideas. So, without further ado, I want to thank you guys for joining us today. It's been a fun Paizo Friday with lots of information, lots of slides. It was almost like when you go to class when you're in elementary school and you see the projector set up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, cool, visual aids. We're going to just watch a movie.
I nearly brought a thing to be like, beep.
I'd be like, I heard you, Jason. Stop pushing it.
Next slide.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you back here next Friday for Paizo, for Jason Bulmahn, for me, your old buddy Dan. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much.